Okay, well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's interview. My name is E.R. Wolf. I'm with Elify, and we do these interviews so that we can enter the view of a thought leader in the business community and gain insight from their experience so that we can take some of those gold nuggets and apply it within our own ventures to increase our success. And I am so excited for the interview I've got today. It's a personal friend of mine, somebody who lives in my state, but yet I still have not met this person in person, but we interact all the time. And that's Anna M. Brooks, a thought leader within the business community, has run several ventures, done all of these types of things. We're going to unpack some of that during today's interview. Anna, welcome to the interview. Please take an opportunity, introduce yourself to everybody. Let us know where you're joining from. And if you'd like, give us a little bit of your background or story.
Great. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here to be exposed to all these wonderful people out here. I love small business owners. It's a big passion of mine. I'm checking in from a tiny town called Wiggins, Colorado, town of about 1,500 people. So you wouldn't imagine that I could be doing a big business out of here, but I do run 7 streams of income from my home. I'm a mom, a grandma, a widow, a great grandma. I love sewing, and I love. I'm very passionate about talking to people and networking and making connections for others. And it's one of the things I love about Elify. It makes it so easy. My background: I was in corporate America for over 20 years, and then I met my second husband, who was an independent contractor, and he said, "Why don't you stay home and run my business instead of going to work every day?" And I said, "Okay, I'll give that a shot." And I fell in love and was very active in the small business community. I've won several awards. Probably the most prestigious is an SBA award for District 8, Women in Business Advocacy. That got me on TV, got me to Washington, D.C., got me on the news, and even Greg Moss from Channel 9 News had his own small business thing, and I ran his Q&A at lunchtime for a couple weeks. So that was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. And my big goal in learning that small business is the #1 employer, they're the #1 taxpayer, and they're the #1 producer in the United States. And I'm betting that that's happened in other countries. And I'm passionate about it because small business has been in families for generations on generations. There's always 1 or 2 family members that are, cooking extra meals, doing some ironing, working on somebody's yard, knitting, producing something outside of the mainstream of income. And that's what small business is. It's about families and communities. And so I've been very active in legislative areas. I truly love it. But when it came down to, family business kind of thing, I sort of, kind of got confused as how do people make money at multiple businesses and not go out of their minds, struggle? So it's always been my passion to find tools and resources for small businesses that take less time, less money, and less brain freeze, less overwhelmed. And so that's been my passion, and that's why I love Elify.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you and I have had this conversation about small business and why I believe it's the backbone of our economy here, and to your point, most likely globally. On how small businesses are, pretty much the majority of the economy and stuff like that. And when I originally came across entrepreneurship and small business at a young age, and even throughout school, I was blown away with the statistics on the failure rate of small business. And yet I think that we need to see more and more small businesses, and we need to see them become more and more successful. Wow, it blows my mind. 7 streams of income from a tiny town in Colorado, and going from being on or in corporate America to all of a sudden being thrust into, not all of a sudden, but being put into
it's pretty much all of a sudden.
Yeah, can you, I want to rewind the clock back a while ago. What lessons do you feel you learned and were critical in segueing from, say, employment in corporate America to running a small business? I know there's a lot of people who will see this and they'll say, I want to be my own boss. I want to start my own business. I want to do my own thing. I want to do my first venture. What should they expect? What should they be aware of? Just any insight?
Hey, there's some basic tools, but the biggest one is be prepared to be prepared. I mean, honestly, it's going to take time. It's going to take resources. Know what your goals are. Get a great bookkeeper, accountant. Have some kind of legal service behind you to ask questions and get answers, forms, documents, and find a couple of mentors in areas that you need for your business. And then you find somebody like me who's a business consultant, and you sit down and you ask questions, you streamline your business so that you can systemize the different processes so that you can automate your business and be like the millionaires who have the same 24 hours in a day, but they have more time for their family, for their vacations and that kind of thing. And they say, oh, it's time management, or they can delegate. There was a point in time, and I know, ER, you felt this point in time, that, hey, wait a second, something's got to give. Something's got to give. And how do I do this? You can't delegate when you don't have the money, but you need to delegate because you don't have the time. And everyone runs into that. There are resources. There are tips, tools, and tricks. Number one is manage your calendar. No, I don't mean manage your time. Managing time is not something you can do. We all have the same amount. You can't have a personal calendar and a professional calendar. It doesn't work. It's the same 24 hours. So, I mean, there are tips and tricks for managing your time, managing what you put into your time and setting those limits. And those are keys. Be prepared to be prepared.
Amazing insight and such gold. I actually want to unpack some of the stuff that you said in there and really go into detail. I think the first thing that came up is if you're getting started, sometimes it feels like you're wearing every single hat in your business. And to
well,
your point,
are.
Yeah, you've got to pick and choose and prioritize where you're spending that amount of time that you have when wearing those hats. And the first chance you get to take a hat off and put it on somebody else or delegate some of that responsibility out, that can help create some efficiencies in your business or free up time to take higher priority items that maybe move your business forward or make the cash register go cha-ching, so that you can focus areas on that. And to your point, you can manage your calendar. You can't necessarily manage your time, but you manage your calendar and you prioritize your time. Now, you mentioned certain elements that are must-have elements, obviously like having an accountant, having a lawyer, taking care of some of those business-related things. But the first thing that you mentioned is having a goal, a direction, somewhere that you're taking your business to or want to see it accomplish. Can you talk a little bit briefly about that and making your goals in your business and having a plan to reach those goals and sort of the importance of that process versus just blindly wandering around trying to run a business?
Yes. Well, we can blindly run around and run our business and still succeed. But if you want real success, follow the big guys, follow the millionaires. And what do they do to structure? The key point is focus. You need to know where you're going. And when you make decisions throughout the day as to who's on your calendar, what events are on your calendar, where the kids go on your calendar, you need to focus on that goal. And does this fit where I am towards my goal? Is it going to move me forward? Is it time for that yet? I mean, there are so many resources, so many coaches and business consultants and tools and that kind of, but you can keep them all in your cloud if you want to. But the fact is, just like technology, techniques and tools change. So look for the ones that support you where you're at to move you forward to the next step. And that's part of the streamline process. Thank
I
you.
love that. I love that. And everybody's going to be in a different stage in the life cycle of their venture, their business, their income stream. And what you're talking about, find what's going to help support and work for you where you're at right now. And then when you get further along, you're going to see further and you can make that adjustment. Maybe it's scaling up in that technology and buying the next level of software subscription or whatnot. Or maybe it's segueing from one technology to a more robust technology. It's important to always come back and, if the goal, as you said, is where you're focused, it's coming back as you go along the goal and course correcting to make sure you're maintaining that focus and always in that position. One thing that you mentioned during this, Anna, you said follow the big guys, and I've always been a fan of success leaving clues. And you talked about coaches or consultants or mentors. There are people who have gone down the path before us, guys. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to look at what's working, and then we need to apply it. Do you have any additional thoughts towards that?
Before retaining a mentor, I'm a big advocate of that 15-minute call to kind of go back and forth and decide that if this is somebody you can work with. But I have mentors in different aspects of my life. I have them, for the accounting, dollars, financials, that kind of thing. But that person doesn't help me with my marketing development or, my goal setting. Goal setting was huge for me. Once I understood that you set the goal, you set the time frame, measure it, and then you go backwards to find out, hey, I'm going to make $5 million. Okay, when do you want to do it? And how, you decide that date. What are the steps you need to take? Well, what do you need to do in 5 years' time? What do you need to do in 4 years' time? Where do you need to be 3 years? What about next month? What do you need to do tomorrow or today to move you towards that goal? And believe me, your time is no better spent than to understand where you're at, where you're going, and measure it constantly. Make time for that.
I love it. Every time you talk, I get these little quotes or sayings in my mind that remind me of something. And you just said measure it, constantly measure it. Have your goal, come back to it, address it, work on it. It's a process, guys. Two things, right? Whatever gets measured gets managed, right? Whatever gets measured gets managed. And really having, I heard this the other day, Anna, and I thought it was so critical to success. The saying is, the person who enjoys walking will walk farther than the person who enjoys the destination. And really what we're talking about in our journeys here is everybody's going to have to walk, crawl, or run their journey. Everybody has that ideal goal, the end mark in line, and they're all working towards that. But you've got to be willing to submit to the process and be consistent in that process in order to achieve or arrive at the goal. In all your experience goal setting and doing things like that, do you have any tips or tricks for the people watching this to help them better execute on getting to or accomplishing their goals?
I guess the first thing I would say is, for the majority of people going from a job and wanting their own side hustle, I would recommend a direct sales position. Find a product or a service or something that you can get excited about, and then fold yourself into their mentorship process. Learn how it works, learn the steps to take. And I'm going to ask you, ER, you have your journal with you? Yeah.
Writing in it now,
And you have your phone right there with the calendar, right? You will never see a millionaire without those two things, ever. Every day, twice a day. They're measuring, they're going forward, they're looking at the numbers, they're adding to that, moving it forward, even for their children. I know you've got young ones, but you know what? They need to know what the schedule is, and they need to be able to count on you for that schedule. And that's why you can't have separate calendars. But I love the idea of focus, goal setting. Goal setting is important, but measurement. Measure, like contractors say or carpenters say, measure twice, cut once. So check yourself, and if you If you're having an issue and you can't move forward, find a mentor who's going to help you move forward. Take the time, spend a little money. Don't spend big amounts of money, and don't look for one solution for all your problems or for all your challenges. There are options, and take them bite size, and that way you won't miss any bites.
I love that. So one of the things that you mentioned a little bit ago, and again, I'm still on the concept that I'm segueing from the JOB to being the entrepreneur and the small business owner. And this is my first venture, my first stream of income. And, again, I think if you can do it once, you can do it over and over again. And you talked about multiple streams of income. Before we talk about that and like going to stream 2, stream 3, stream 4, one of the things that you mentioned that I think is important to spend some time on is if you're in your primary venture, but you're still doing it all, right? Getting to the point where you've streamlined it, where you've put in systems, where you're starting to implement things like automation. At what point in time would you even consider not stepping away, but more taking an oversight management position in your one venture and starting to explore setting in that secondary stream or that second venture on top of it? And anything that relates to the streamlining, the systemization, and the automation of the current venture?
I would say the point of time that I feel that I can walk away is when I feel like it's already automated and I know how to monitor and keep track, just like a website, just like our digital business cards, the tracking. If I understand the system and I understand the reporting, I can tag in to make sure things are, when it's to that point, I'm ready to offload. Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, I do have a lot of automation, but micro technologies right now make automation affordable, accessible. From micro businesses to medium small businesses, you can act like a big business without spending those dollars. It's there, but who has the time to research it and to find out what works for them?
I think you just touched on probably one of the biggest game changers in business and entrepreneurship. And really, when I think back to yesteryear, right? Before technology was big. Okay, guys, business has been around for a long time. You know what I mean? If we go pre-internet, even pre-2000s, where you didn't have a lot of technology, if you wanted to automate or to scale, it meant hiring an individual to come in and injecting that individual into some role or some function within your organization. And Anna, one of the things that you're talking about is there are now functions or roles within our own organizations that instead of putting an individual in place there, you know what I mean? Think about like outreach automation. You could hire an individual to sit there and write letters. This is, again, pre-internet example, right? Email doesn't exist. Write letters and send them out to your customers on your behalf, right? You're replacing yourself with an individual. Now you can get somebody and you can automate the process with technology to say, do the outreach automatically for you. And I think the big distinction that you hit on is now more than ever, that automation and those types of processes and systems and tools are cost effective, accessible, all of those types of things. Like I'm thinking, okay, now we're at current date or even looking into the future. We're going to be able to operate our businesses, as you said, like big businesses, when that was very cost prohibitive back in the day. What thoughts do you have to that?
Well, and that's why I recommend the side hustle, to learn the processes and to get in touch. Then you have a fail safe. You can fall back and move forward and still the structure is in place. When you're your own business owner and you're doing it all, then that's when you start getting, the headaches and the, have to switch gears and, diametrically be two different people during the day. Those are real hazards. They're real hazards. But technology nowadays, seriously, once you put the system together, there's a technology to automate it. And we have comprehensive integrated technologies. So we're not bouncing from software to app to software to app to, what was it? Harvard Business School did a study, and they figured out that the average individual on the job changes shifts or pops from app to app or software 1,200 times a day. They're losing 4.5 to 5 hours a week just going from here to here, and all those windows open in the background because they got to get here and they got to get there. Well, technology has advanced, and now you can have a completely integrated operating system with multiple apps and everything, but all integrated so one feeds the other for as little as $50 a month.
I agree.
Not a $200,000 software and a $40,000 a year employee. And the biggest thing about micro technologies is that it gives us access to part-time renting. We're leasing people. You can lease a CFO for when you need them. You can lease a bookkeeper. You don't have to hire them full-time. You can lease somebody to do your social media. Then you're monitoring. You just check. But boy, you better have somebody who's double checking it for you, because you don't always see everything. And it's nice to have somebody who, hey, take a look at my social media and tell me what you think is going on. That's what friends are for. Build yourself a network of buddies in the business.
I love it. You are an average of the people that you hang out with. And if you're segueing from the JOB market to being more of an entrepreneur or small business owner, surround yourself with other entrepreneurs and small business owners who are doing or already achieving what you want to achieve. Join a mastermind with them. You will, sort of by transfer, start to adopt some of those best practices. Now, a few more business related questions, then I want to shift over into technology here.
Okay.
The first one that I picked up while you were talking is if you're starting your first venture, and I've always had the idea you've got different paths if you want to be a business owner or an entrepreneur, right? The first path is you can start everything from scratch. And I've done this a few times. And honestly, it's probably the hardest path to take, right? You've got to invent your product or your service or license something. You've got to build the marketing, the sales, and the distribution, and all these things around that. You've got to put the processes and the systems in place. And you're really going from the foundation all the way up. It's like getting your MBA from the School of Hard Knocks starting at ground zero. The alternate to that, and that's the one that maybe a lot of people think is the path to go down. The alternate to that, the next one is like buy a franchise, right? Somebody's at least done some of the heavy lifting for you. Okay, I've got a business, the model works, the systems are in place. And if you want to implement all of that, I will sell you the roadmap. I will sell you the systems and processes. One of the challenges I've had, like starting from scratch, a lot of time, energy, resources, knowledge, education. You need all of those things if you want to increase your likelihood of success. I think likelihood of success goes up a lot when you're plugging into an existing system that already works. But I've always found franchising to be expensive. If you want
to, you're just buying yourself another job.
Yeah, you're somebody. Then you mentioned direct sales, and I think direct sales, affiliate marketing, something that you can plug in initially as a side hustle that then has the potential to evolve into your full-time thing, like where you retire yourself from the job and you now become your self-employed business owner self. Is super powerful. What are the other reasons? Yeah, go ahead.
Don't let go of it. If it's building residual income for you, keep it going. But you can always add to that side hustle another side hustle. Several of my side hustles are actually affiliate marketing, direct sales type programs. But I've automated them to the point where they pretty much run themselves and send me a check all the time. And I always heard about residual income. I thought it was really cool, sounded really good. When my husband passed away suddenly, it's almost 10 years now, suddenly he was gone. He was the contractor. He was the breadwinner. I mean, my credit score was 0 because everything was in his name. Yeah. I was running a business. Well, I was running 2 businesses at the time. And it shocked me. First of all, you don't think about anything when your partner has died like that. But for a year and a half, I don't really remember everything.
Yeah.
But I do remember this. The checks kept coming in. I wasn't on the phone. I wasn't going to meetings. I wasn't pushing the big bandwagon. I was encouraging when people called. I booked a lot of memberships, but not because I was there, but because the system worked. And that income came in. And I can't tell you what a blessing. And it still comes in to this day. It's still coming in. So yes, find something with residual income that you can be passionate about. Start your side hustle, learn a little, and then start networking with people who have done or are doing what you want to do, have lives that you want to have. And thank God for Zoom. Because I'm no longer limited to driving the hour and a half to Denver to meet with these people, to mastermind. I don't have to drive 2 hours this way or, do the big seminars 2,000 miles away, that kind of thing. I'm there, but I am not spending all my time doing that. So I thank God for Zoom, micro technology.
So I want to come back to what you talked about, where you mentioned residual income. And I think this is one of those things that a lot of people who are not in business sort of have trouble conceptualizing, because they've been in a framework of trading dollars for hours for so long that it's hard to decouple the fact that dollars and hours aren't necessarily joined at the hip. I also think, and I was actually talking to my children as I was driving them around this morning, and some saying came up where it's like time is money, you know what I mean? And I was trying to think of it from two perspectives, right? Time is money, time is money. And there's one perspective where it's like, if I'm trading my time for money or selling my time for money, time is money. This amount of time can be worth this much if I sold it to somebody else as an employee. On the other side, I think time is money when I'm using my money to earn myself back time. And that's what you're talking about when you talk about residual compensation. All of a sudden, if I've got money coming in, whether I work or not, and it equals what I have going out, that's the definition of time freedom, right? I now have 100% control over my time and not obligated to exchange it for dollars because of that residual compensation. Do you typically look for ventures and business ideas and opportunities that are coupled with residual income always?
Not always. I mean, sometimes the return on investment for a period of time is a real good deal, if you're, passionate about it. And I do have a few of those. But when it comes right down to it, when you do a job, when you create something and you get paid once for the time you put in, the company's getting paid over and over and over again. Yeah. When you create your own deal or you go with a company that has residual marketing, every little bit of work that you do, you're getting paid a piece of it. And it grows. As you do more, it grows. And pretty soon, the amount of time that you put in is a lot less than the money you're putting in, just because you were consistent, you did the deal, and it's residual. The company or the product service appreciates what you did, and your customer's still paying, so you're still getting paid. I believe that's the real world. I think that's biblical.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the fact that, like, when you have a residual, you can literally build on top of it every month. So Anna, to your point, it's constantly growing. And I think the biggest benefit that you mentioned at the very beginning here is what should happen when the worst happens. When somebody gets hurt, or heaven forbid, in your case, Anna, somebody passes away. And if they're in a job, or if they're exchanging time for money and that gets cut off immediately, like, you can be in a massively hard spot. In fact, there are a lot of people who get in that position. But if you have a business that's providing residual income, that can soften the blow. I don't think it eliminates the blow, because tragedy is tragedy, hardship is hardship. But if it softens the blow and allows you to sort of readjust and adjust goals and all of that type of stuff accordingly, man, that's a huge weight off. That's a lot of breathing room.
It's a lot of restful sleep instead of sleepless nights. And that's, that's how welfare was created. ADC, because husbands would pass away and the wives had children and they couldn't get to jobs because they wouldn't hire them. Oh, you got 3 kids. You'll never be in here. You'll be home with sick kids. That's how welfare was created, because they wanted to fill that gap. Well, the government shouldn't be filling that gap. It should be the corporations should be paying you for not for what the job is worth, what you are worth over a period of years, not for an hour.
Yeah. Okay. My final question shifts before we get into technology here. My final question,
Okay.
business related. The shift between having a venture and getting to the point where you've got the systems, the automation, everything in place for that venture, and now you're starting to have some more flexibility and consider in your mind, what's number 2, what's number 3. We know, and you've said this multiple times to me, we're in the same family of view on this, multiple streams of income. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income, right? You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to your income. You want to diversify that risk and all of that type of stuff. When you are adding that next venture, are you looking for something that's a complement, similar, would require the same systems and automations as the previous one in order to go into that venture? Or are you just mainly saying, this is my past experience, I know what it's going to take to start something new, my other ones are on autopilot, let's get out there and look for the next thing?
We all know the economy shifts, the economy changes, and so your needs change. And the value of the services and products that you offer will change. Yeah. And so you can't depend on any one venture to take you all the way. And they're certainly not going to take you that way in 3 months. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I'm really concerned about is, people doing a side hustle because, so-and-so made this much money in 3 months' time. Well, you don't know what the story is behind that. Mm-hmm. They may have been in 3 or 4 other affiliate programs or whatever, and and had companies fail on them and stuff. So they're well initiated and they can invest the time. You don't know the story behind it. Make it something you're passionate about that will get you up in the morning, that will get you on the phone. Do your power hour of calling people to talk about what you're passionate about. Absolutely. And yes, it'll change. I thought I was going to struggle to get to 7 streams of income. Now people call me and say, we want you to take a look at this. We want you to take a look at that. And, and there are certain keywords that they use in their presentations that tell me whether or not I'm going to be even looking at that. But it's because I learned those processes, because I followed my mentors, because I learned the systems and I learned the questions, and I take the time to know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust who you're dealing with, folks. That's what I tell, people who come to my Too Many Hats class, learn about, not managing time, but how you manage what you put into your time. And so many of them come back with, hey, I got this much to do in this much time. Well, guess what? We all do. We're all in the same mode. So find someone that you can trust, that you can talk to. But I can tell you what, a 15-minute phone call will tell you more than an hour one. So if you do 15-minute calls, you can do 4 in an hour. Oh my gosh, now guess what? You're doing 10 a day. Oh, you got the rest of the day. You can journal and, pick up the kids from baseball and all those things.
That's right. Well, and you hit the nail on the head. We all have the same amount of time, right? Something like 86,400 seconds in the day, right? However many minutes, obviously 24 hours. And you talked about the streamlining your processes, the systems you put in place, the automations, and you mentioned technology. Let's get into technology for a minute here. What type of technologies in general do you implement in your businesses that you found have helped you the most?
I use technologies that reduce the amount of time that I spend and consolidate different processes. I do not get into technologies that only handle one processes. Now, back in the day, that used to be the only way you could go. But now there are so many options, but it's also overwhelming. Go to somebody you know, like, and trust that you can be honest with and ask them, hey, let me buy you a cup of coffee. I need to run some things by you. Or do like we do with our Zoom meetings. We're like a mini mastermind. You know, we're all working toward each other's success, but we're all working in different directions. And it's amazing. Find some people that you can sit down with, even over Zoom, and just be honest with, this is where I'm at and this is what I think I need, but what do you think? You know, what is your input? What is your experience? Hey, don't rebuild it if you don't have to. My gosh, there's so much out there. So much. In technology, hey, our phones expire, are obsolete in 6 months. Our laptops are obsolete in 6 months. Your desktop. Hello, Zoom. Zoom changed the whole way that we use all of our structures, made things so much easier and quicker. But you and I have built a pretty good relationship over Zoom.
That's right.
Imagine my surprise when I had gone out and looked for different technology and had actually purchased a couple of those technologies when I finally researched enough to get to Elify. And I'm like, I'm well into it. I'm learning. I'm a learner. Darn, I'm not one of those jump in the, and run kind of things, but I'm a learner. And it took me a few months to realize that you and I were in the same state. We actually knew some of the same people. That's how the universe works. You're working towards a goal, you attract people, tools, money to reach those goals. Stay focused on the goals. The universe stays focused with you.
Yeah, I love that. And I love this idea that there's an entire community of people. There's an entire group of successful individuals who want to reach back and help the next person come forward. And don't be afraid to tap into that, to tell somebody, here's where I'm at, like Anna, you just said, and I could really use some advice or some help. Most successful people I've ever met, Anna, the first thing they want to do is help you. The first thing they want to do is point you in the right direction. I even, it reminds me of when I was a kid, and the first thing that my mom would tell me, if you're ever successful, if you ever reach the top or the pinnacle, make sure that you turn around and you give back. And I think that that's a common thing for most people. They're not sitting there at the top, with this scarcity mentality going, I've got to hoard everything, including knowledge, skills, advice, and everything else. They're sitting there going, wow, why aren't more people up here with me? If more people just knew and got help, they could tap into this and be where I am at.
That's the job environment. Think about this. Job people protect what they know. They keep other people out of it, because if I share what I know, then they might get the job I'm going for. Or somebody might think that they're better than I am, and I'll lose out. That loss mentality in corporate America, it's huge. But when you own your own deal, go find people who aren't afraid of loss, who've been there, because they're the ones who'll give you the tools, the guidance, the direction. And yes, they love giving it to you, but they don't love it for very long if you don't use it.
Yeah.
Take action.
I think, Anna, that right there is the key, right? You can have all of the knowledge, all of the skills, all of the right tools in the world to be successful in what you're doing. But if you do not take action and implement those things and put them into practice, and not just once, like consistently over time, you're not going to get to where you want to go. And there's this aspect of, and I'm like you, I'm a learner. I love to absorb knowledge. I'm an analytical. I want to have all the information before making an informed decision on those types of things. But at the end of the day, independent of your personality type, everybody has to take a step forward and a step forward and a step forward. And I see a lot of people, and I don't know, with your experience and the people you've interacted with working with businesses for the last 40 plus years, but I see a lot of people who they're well equipped, they're ready to go, they have everything they need, and yet they're always at the starting line, getting ready to get going. Any advice for those people on just get going? Just get going.
as I say, just do it. Nike says, just do it. Guess what? Yeah, you may fall. You may fall flat on your face, but I'll bet you in the process of falling, you're going to find a tool, a tip, a trick, a mentor, and that's going to move you at least fall forward. And what the Lord said he'll straighten the path behind you. Well, he can't straighten the path behind you if you're not moving.
That's right. That's so true.
So move, do something, even if it's wrong, do something, and you'll learn from it.
Absolutely. I know the saying that comes to mind is even the wrong decision is better than no decision at all. And I think that's critical. Okay, I want to come back to technology and tools just for a second. It blows my mind, right? We've got these things in our pockets that are as powerful as the computers that took man to the moon. These are literally supercomputers in our pockets. You talked about, Zoom and video conferencing and the ability to extend our reach essentially globally. I've talked to people in different countries around the world. In any given day, I'm in meetings from the East Coast to the West Coast, and my travel commute is zero. What a advantage that you have. I've even been doing a few more in real life meetings. And when I go, I'm almost sitting here going, wow, look at this inefficiency, because technology can compress that timeline, that travel line. It's like having the ability to time travel in a way when you can go from this meeting to this meeting and never leave the convenience of your computer. And I know there are other tools that are helping with that, right? Things like email automation or scheduling, calendaring, or marketing tools or other stuff like that that are going to give you an advantage. I want to bring this to Elify, and I want to get your experience. 1, how did you learn about Elify? 2, how are you using Elify technologies? And 3, what has been the impact of that for your business?
Well, I found Elify because I had used a couple of different digital business cards. Loved the concept, but I didn't have ownership. I couldn't see the tracking. I couldn't see what was happening. I didn't own that part of it. And it seemed to me that there should be more that it could do. I was at the point of, do I go out and build this huge website, which means I'm going to have to hire somebody. And of course, thank God I have legal services, because, a lot of people don't even own their domain name. And every time they need to make a change, they need to make an appointment to make a change. So that was one of the areas I was looking at is, do we really need to have, I know we have to be online. I know that. And with Zoom, we can be online in a lot of different ways. But when I saw Shuffle, when I saw the Elify Shuffle card, I was like, this, like most of my companies that I jump into, this sounds too good to be true. But for that price, I'm going to try it. And I was in. I love micro technologies because I love micro businesses. As I've explained, every family should have a business. It doesn't have to be a big business, but every little bit helps, and it gives self-confidence, self-esteem, and value to us as well as to them. So when I started playing with it, I was a learner. I was taking my time. I had all these other things going on. I was building my consulting business, so I had a lot of stuff going on. But inch by inch, I would go to those Tech Tuesdays, and I started attending more of the meetings and getting information. And I try things. Love Kathy Inman's comment: "You can't break it," because the Lord knows I've tried. I've tried. But when I first really, felt comfortable enough to really send it out and track it and figure it out, in the first 3 months, I tripled the number of prospects coming in, and I tripled the number of follow through that actually did something with my businesses. Love the fact that I could do multiple cards, so I could do multiple businesses under the same dollar umbrella, which to me was huge. And it has changed the face of my business. I use it everywhere. I'm not as big on the QR codes, and I will be. I know that it's coming. and I use it here and there. But that link, when I tied my hub card to my domain name, and it really confuses people because it doesn't have HTTP or HTTPS, no wwws. It's just AnnaMBrooks.com. And when you go there, all that information is there. You can tap into just about anything that has anything to do with Anna Brooks. Right? It's so complete. Elify is so complete. And it integrates with other technologies, microtechnologies through Zapier and those kinds of things. It makes my life smoother, but it's so good that a friend of mine said, "Oh, you need to talk to Anna. Let me send you her card." Sent the digital business card. And the gentleman came back and he goes, "Wow." He says, "Do you think that, maybe she would trade out my website work for her consulting?" And he texted him back and he goes, "Well, she might have, but she doesn't have a website. That's a digital business card." And that was I built it. I'm not a techie person, but I built it through Elify. And now I've expanded and I've grown. But you don't need a website. You don't need to pay $5,000 for a really cool website. Holy moly, how much you could do with a digital business card. It's a eye opener, and it's the best micro technology for the best price available today. Get online, get your free digital business card, even if you don't get the paid membership or whatever for what, $30 a month or $40 a month, whatever it is, get 10 cards, whatever. Get that free one and use it, because then you're online. You can use it on your Facebook, you use it on my LinkedIn, on your Twitter. You can use it in your emails, at the bottom. It's a signature line. Here's my digital business card. You can talk to people and say, "Oh, listen, let me just send you my little business card here." And it's done. And they have all the information. And they didn't have to go back to their office and pull that out and say, "Okay, now, is that an E or an I?" Or like my husband did, he'd have business cards in his pockets and he'd run them through the washer. Well, they weren't any good anymore. But when you send that digital business card and they save that information, it's always there. Who was that lady I was talking to? Yeah, get a lot of referrals. Yes, it's changing the way I'm doing my business. And it's a residual income affiliate program. So I'm incentivized to go out and share it with everybody. I would do it anyway. But, give me a little piece of the action, I might be a little more enthusiastic.
I love that, Anna. And I think it's a thing I want to call out here, and you mentioned it. There's so much functionality within the technology that we're creating here at Elify and the ways the technology can be used. And you do not have to use it in every single way. You know what I mean? Even if you just find one way to implement the technology that helps you in your systems, process, daily method of operation to become a little bit more efficient, to get information in front of people.
Sell your product.
Yeah, like
Sell your book.
Yeah, do it. And then layer on the next one when it comes time. You know what I mean? And if you're talking about, like, I'm virtual most of the time, so I don't have a big need for maybe QR codes for offline events and things like that, so be it. You know what I mean? When you're ready for it, it's there for you, and you have the ability to implement those features so that you can reap the benefits of that. I think that's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to get a little bit specific, Anna. You have, as we know, multiple ventures, but you're also a best-selling author.
Yes, I am.
And one of the things that we've known each other for a little bit. Yeah, I see your book right there. And I'd encourage everybody who's watching this, go to AnnaMBrooks.com, visit her card. There's most likely going to be an access link to her book on that page or on that card. Check out that.
There's even a way to get a free copy.
There you go. Free copy, guys. Tell us a little bit about that process in releasing your book and what assisted you in getting to that bestseller rating.
Oh, yes. Well, I talked to the publisher and I was explaining how the cards work. She wanted one personally, but she also said, maybe we can use this to market the book because there's 15 authors, and there's a lot of information, 15 authors, but you don't want to send them to a website that has 15 pages of, 5 pages each kind of thing. I said, what if we just put a button on there for each author and it sent it to their website or their email address, whatever they have available, just by pushing that button. They didn't have to go to itty bitty site to kind of find what they're looking for. They could just push the button. And I said, and what if, because we want to do this globally, right? What if we have an Amazon button for each country where Amazon's available? So they don't have to go to Amazon and look for their country. They just push the button, it takes them right to the book. They buy it, off they go. And she was interested. She was very interested in it. She's in her 80s, so it was a, yeah, this sounds exciting. Well, when the book launched, I had 2 days notice to put those links. I mean, I had the buttons all set up, but I had to put those links on there. 2 days notice, 1 day, 24-hour period to launch this book. Okay. Over 30% of the purchases and the connections through that card to Amazon. 30% with 2 days notice. Because it was easy. They could push the button and buy. They could push the button and go to somebody's website. And now we're giving the authors their own free card. So they can put their Amazon link right on the card and boom, off they go. And if they want to market better, well, come to Elify. We got all the training. But I thought it was amazing. If the videos that you're watching on YouTube, Elify, are more than 2 years old, don't watch them. Because seriously, they keep expanding the technology and the tools and the reach and shortening that buy time, that information time. I mean, the information curve it seems like a big thing when you're trying something new. But if someone like me at my age can go into a program like this and actually create a digital business card that looks like a half-assed website. And that's pretty much what the guy was saying to me. Oh, that's pretty half-assed. Yeah, but he thought it was a website. So I don't know. I love it. And I love the people.
I love it, Anna. I love it. And we've been so blessed to have you as part of our Elify community and obviously giving us this feedback and stuff like that. It just blows my mind to hear the countless stories of people who are using the technology and reaping a benefit out of it. Like when you say it 3X's portions of your business in the first 3 months, like boom, how many people want to 3X their business in the next 3 months? Leads generated, customers engaged, all of that type of stuff. And they're one app essentially away from achieving that. They have to put it into place, put it into practice. But that blows my mind. What you were talking about.
You have a mastermind team and a training team to help you.
100%. When you're talking about websites back in the day and you're like, I've got to pay thousands of dollars to a webmaster to build my website and register domain, pay for hosting.
And host it every month and SEOs and all those things.
I have to put in a change order with the web company if I want to make a change. You're not going to be able to update that web page when your book's getting released in 2 days.
In 2 days.
But on this platform, you can log in real time, make an adjustment, and in a 24-hour notice, cause a change that in this case resulted in 1 out of every 3 customers coming through your shuffle card, you know what I mean? And getting to that point where you're a best-selling author, it just blows my mind and makes me think, how can we help other people? How can we help other people implement this technology in their own businesses? So as we wind down,
Elify Shuffle, Elify.com/A Brooks.
That's Anna's
perfect.
referral link. We're going to make sure to put that in the description on here as well. And that's really what it's about, right? We want to spread the message. We want to tell other people. We want to learn best practices. The whole point of these interviews isn't just, hey, this is Elify and these are the tools and this is how this is going to help you. We already know that. There's a lot of other additional knowledge and skills and tips and tricks. As Anna, you mentioned, it's almost like being part of a global mastermind when you're in the Elify community and you can start learning from others. I'm even amazed when people are like, hey, does anybody have a card for this industry or for this type of product or service? And other people who are like, yes, I've got that. Here you go. You can freely use it. It'll save you time. Clone my card. Use this layout. And they're not sitting there going, I don't want to share this information because you might compete against me. It's more, how can we all work together so that we all achieve success? So
if we're going to go into a global community and make it smaller, let's all do it together. And let's support each other's communities, businesses, and families at the same time.
I agree. I think that's part of what we're seeing in the digital revolution and the shift towards more of the U economy. And I think that brings this conversation sort of full circle, where when you're operating in the U economy, you're building an economy and a business around you and around the people you're interacting with. And we see that as a huge opportunity in the future, where a big mass of people are going to be doing business with the people they know, like, and trust. And that's going to be the economy of the future. And I think Elify and Shuffle and Tap can play a role in that. So
I love Tap. I'm just going to throw that out there. I love Tap because when people see it, man, they buy it. They they don't understand the power of Shuffle on their phone, but to be able to tap their card on somebody's telephone and have them get all their information, it's that's mind-boggling for them. To me, it's mind-boggling that I can send this little link 10,000 different places in 10 minutes time and change my business.
I love that.
I love it.
Okay, in closing, as we wrap up this interview, Anna, I'm going to give you the last few minutes to share or talk about anything you think the person who's watching this needs to hear as it relates to entrepreneurship or business or technologies or systems or whatever you want to talk about, whatever's coming to mind. Please feel free. I'll give you this last sort of segment. Go ahead.
Challenge. What is it they say? Yes, ready. When they ask, just say yes and do it. Okay. You want to be a business owner, or you're working towards being a business owner? Work on your goals. Work on your calendar. Work on yourself. Reach out. There are lots of tools. And I'm going to be very honest with you. Be cautious where you get your tools from, too. Do it with people you know, like, and trust. I love the fact that the SBA, does loans and they help you start up your business, etc. But the fact is, that's generic. It's very, very generic. And you're not a generic person. So you're starting your own business. Find people who have their own businesses that are living the life that you want to live. And reach out and ask questions. Ask questions. When you get the answers, take action, because you're not moving forward if you don't take action. And believe me, ER and I both agree, we have fallen on our face a few times taking action, but we always learn and we always got better. And be persistent. When you're facing the wall and my bank account's going down and it's not coming up, and how do I get back to my prosket, and you're frustrated and you can't sleep at night, guess what? Take a deep breath. It'll all be there tomorrow. Take a breath, go for a walk, dance, do something that makes you feel better. It'll all be there tomorrow. Stick with it. I've been with one company for 17 years and it ain't a job, and they're still paying me. So guess what, folks? You can do it too. Over time, you can do anything, but you've got to be doing.
Anna, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I cannot express enough how excited I am for people to hear what you have to say. We will make sure that all the information to connect with Anna, to get a hold of Anna and stuff is tied to this video interview. And we encourage you, be a part of the Elify community. Start interacting with individuals like Anna if you want to be like Anna. And I'll tell you what, you should want to be like Anna. So with that being said, again, Anna, thank you so much. We'll see everybody on the next interview. Take care, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you, Yair.
Thanks, Anna.